AM 1170. The Answer. KCBQ.
This is Stephen Wener coming back to you on 1170 AM, The Answer for Whissel Wednesdays. And our spectacular guest, who is not going to do a bow, which I asked her to stand up and bow, right? We have Brianne Kennedy in here from CPC, and they are a digital advertising company. And these are relatively new types of companies that are helping companies manage their social profiles and grow on the internet, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Our founders, we have 4 founders that founded the company 10 years ago. They're all still involved full-time, and we're celebrating our 10th year as a San Diego business. So.
Right.
I'm a big supporter of San Diego businesses, right? See, we talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Why should you support San Diego businesses? Well, if you want to keep jobs here in San Diego and you want to keep values going up on homes, you should support. And as a real estate agent, Steve and Kyle and myself as a lender, we're really big on supporting San Diego businesses. So we're glad to have you in, Brianna.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. And just so you listeners have an idea of Brianne's background, she is the HR director for this incredible company that has been growing. They are celebrating their 10 years. And what they do as a company, which she'll elaborate on, is they're driving retailer growth through Google, Amazon, and Facebook, correct?
Yeah. So what we focus on is working with retailers who want to increase the ROI on their advertising spend. So we're optimizing those dollars, tying them directly to revenue, and kind of articulating our services that way.
And what's really cool is their culture, which I definitely want you to talk about. They're the 7th best place to work by the San Diego Business Journal, and the 2nd on Union Tribune's top places to work in San Diego. And that's amazing because culture is everything. Right?
Yeah,
culture is everything.
Culture is everything, and I can't take full credit for that. I mean, that definitely goes to our incredible employees, but also mostly our founders. They started this company with an idea of what they wanted to, a place that they wanted to work with their friends, do great things, be very, high performing in the market. And that has been a thread throughout the company's growth. And when they brought me on last year, the idea was, let's figure out how to maintain this culture, which is very difficult to do during periods of high growth. And still basically double the company's size. We went from about 43 employees when I started. We're at 102 now.
Wow.
Within a year and a half.
Right.
That's
now
huge
you can
for
take a
San
bow.
Diego. Yeah,
Now
that is. Now she can take the bow. That's huge.
Yeah.
And I know you're part of that culture. So talk about what is culture, because I know there's people right now going, what do they mean by culture? Mm-hmm. Maybe they're in a small company, maybe in a big corporate company, but what is culture to you guys, and how would you best define that to somebody maybe the first time hearing that word, what we're trying to utilize it for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's 2 ways to look at it. There's definitely the side that you hear more about in business journals and classes around define your core cultural values. And for us, those are learn, create, inspire. And we try to tie our activities back to that. How are we learning to grow our abilities and continue providing the best services to our customers? How are we creating new strategies? How are we inspiring each other and the industry in what we do? So that is one side of things. That's kind of how we approach it as a business, internally amongst each other in more of a team setting. It's really just about respect and enjoying each other's company. You spend 40 hours a week or more with the coworkers around you, and just making sure that you're having a great time when you're dedicating a third of your waking hours. Right. is a huge deal. And so it comes down to kind of those areas.
What I find fascinating is in this corporate world today, especially in California, it's so litigious. Having culture for some companies can be so difficult because all these attorneys come in and they say what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. This is considered harassment. Stay away from this. It's incredible. So sometimes people withdraw from trying to have culture because they're afraid of culture and what can happen.
And even like stuff like dress attire, right?
Right. Well, just,
if you go to this dress attire, then people might use it this way, that way, And I know I'm a prime example. So this is some 25 years ago. We had a casual day, and they were like, "Hey, bring your casual clothes." Well, I showed up in shorts and a tank top,
right?
And to me that was casual. Ryan's laughing over there, right? But to my bank manager, it wasn't the best thing. Now I wasn't inside the branch at that particular time, but I was actually set down. And now I can see, like you're saying, we are a litigious state.
Yep.
You know, hey, they told me casual, come as you come. This is when I'm not in a suit and tie, this is me.
Right.
Right. And so that's why I wore. So they weren't specific.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people worry about. But that's nice. I like how you specifically defined it, Brianna, and I thought you did a great job. And I'm excited that you guys are a San Diego company. That's important to all of us that are here that really get it. We just don't want to end up like a Detroit, you know, where people kind of took some of those jobs for granted. The moment those big car companies left, if you haven't seen Detroit, you know what a $200,000 house used to be, you can put on my credit card. Like you can literally buy a house for 10 grand. It used to be 200 grand. And that's because there's no jobs there to support that community like it once was. And I just want to make certain San Diego understands that and gets that, because so many people want to go online like, well, if I go here, it's going to be 50 cents cheaper. Well, is the 50 cents worth possibly costing yourself or your neighbor a job or your house going down in value? People aren't thinking about that. But if we all do business overseas, especially, which is a lot of where the discount is, we all want the minimum wage to be, you know, X amount an hour. But when we purchase, we want to buy something at a nickel on the dollar.
Absolutely.
It doesn't coincide, right? So we have to make some judgment calls there.
There's a disconnect in how we live.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think that speaks to San Diego. San Diego is one of our greatest recruiting tools, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, there's a certain type of person who wants to live in San Diego,
and someone that doesn't want to live in Canada anymore and be in 40 below,
or New York City anymore. I moved here directly from New York City 7 years ago for a certain lifestyle, and those are also the employees that we want to attract: people who enjoy being active, people who enjoy being outside, and we want to make sure that we are, you know, catering to that with our policies.
So when you do that, when you're recruiting that, you know, from somebody born and raised here, I know this is the greatest place on earth. I've been very fortunate to travel a lot of places the last 10 years. I always look forward to the flight home. I always miss San Diego. This is great. Too. But I know a lot of us, including me and people listening right now, do take San Diego for granted. And I know you don't. You just mentioned something, Steve, and you too, Brianna. So when you are recruiting somebody here, what type? Brianne. All right, I'm going to change my writing here. Can't read my own writing. Sorry, Brianne. What do you guys do on the recruit side? What do you talk about in San Diego? What sets us apart?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're definitely seeing more and more talent find us on some of these best places to work lists from out of California, out of San Diego, and want to learn more about the city as they're considering relocation. And so, you know, we talk about the variety of activities and how it can appeal to people who like going out to try new restaurants and go to concerts. There's neighborhoods for that. People who like being at the beach or hiking in trails. You can snowboard and surf in the same day.
Same day.
It's great.
It is crazy.
And so
Steve has the biggest smile, right? We can see here in studio. But I wish we had the video on him, Brian, because that was the biggest. We're only seeing like a side of your face, but for us sitting here actually looking at the camera,
that's crazy.
It's crazy. He is so excited about that. So
I love living here.
So sorry to interrupt, but I saw that, Brianna, and I had to mention Steve loves San Diego.
It's an amazing, you know, other than yourself, everyone's from somewhere else, you know, so you just, this is home. Everything else was like a nightmare.
Well, coaching, I think, Todd, we're San Diego natives, so we love. The rest of us on this half of the room.
Well, we're talking about some of what's going on in your HR culture, but please let us know what your company also does to help the companies that use your services.
Absolutely. So what we're trying to do is just make sure that they're getting the most out of their advertising spend. Some of the strategies that you might use on, say, in the Amazon marketplace are constantly evolving. Amazon's they constantly change the rules on you. And so we're trying to stay ahead of that and to be creative about how we approach that from an advertising stance, and be that resource and that subject matter expert for our clients.
How do you do that with Amazon? Do you have somebody dedicated full time to just reviewing?
We have an entire team, and there's strategists that work to just review those changes and then kind of disseminate that information. We also have contractors who we use to help educate large groups of people quickly when there is a new change. But we're just staying ahead of the game and trying to provide the best value that we can.
So when you're helping companies with their digital profile online, if you can share some examples, whether you share company names or not, what your services have helped these, because you've shared some of these big names with me, but it's unbelievable some of the client base that your company is representing. How has that helped their business by employing your services?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely always respect our clients' privacy. We have some clients who have shared some of the case studies that they've participated in on our website on cpcstrategy.com. And businesses can kind of review that to see the certain challenges that they came to us with and the way that we were able to provide solutions to them. But really, we're growing their sales. We're able to directly tie our efforts to that revenue growth, which is really important. Other services, may drive traffic, but it's hard to get a tangible idea of how much revenue that's actually driven for them. And that's where our specialty is. In
today's environment, it's so important to have that online presence, right? You know, I mean, somebody's been doing this forever. There was no online when I started in the loan business. There wasn't, right? We didn't have cell phones. I remember when beepers came out, and I remember when the first fax machine came out. We stood around the bank watching the paper roll out and then kind of roll back together.
My dad had a briefcase phone. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I mean, you could kill people with your luggage.
It's important, right? You ask for referrals, but now you hear all the marketing stuff. Don't ask for referrals. Just search our engine, and we'll put you with a contractor, an agent, or a lender, or whoever. So it's very important that you have an online presence, and that's something your team does, right? So what's the best way to reach you? Like, you can always text. This goes directly to Kyle, 619-663-7355. Anytime you want to reach us or talk to Kyle, that's directly. But for you, Brianne, what's the best way for us to have clients reach out to you? Yeah,
so clients who are interested in a free consultation to see what we can do for them can certainly go to cpcstrategy.com, and based on the marketplace or the services they're looking for, they can schedule that consultation. For talent, the best way is to go to cpcstrategy.com/careers, or they can email me directly, Brianne at cpcstrategy.com.
All right, so literally C.
C as in
P as in
cat.
Yeah, C as in cat, P as in Paul, C as in cat.
Strategy.
I got to Google how to even spell strategy.
Strategy, singular or with an S?
Just singular.
So with a Y, so GY strategy, got it, .com. All right.
And when we come back from break, one of the things that I wanted to ask you was, what type of companies are you looking for when it comes to size? Is it enterprise? So we're going to talk about that when we come back from break.
Sounds good.
All right, again, you're listening to AM 1170 The Answer. This is Whissel Wednesday. We'll be right back.
AM 1170 The Answer, KCBQ.